Hi, welcome to the Marketing Podcast. I'm Heather Watson.
And I'm Brendan Quigley.
How you doing, Brendan?
I'm doing fantastic.
Fantastic. It is the 2nd of November today.
It is.
Happy November.
I missed it.
I feel like October has just flown by like it didn't even exist.
Busy. Always busy.
Yeah, fun. Do you have any big plans?
No, nothing. Like, I don't know. I'm getting to that point in my life where staying at home is fun. You know?
Yeah.
Relaxing, being at home is a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Life stages, right?
Life stages.
Soon it'll be a midlife crisis, I'm sure.
And then you're out all the time because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
It's like the rock star life, going to concerts and happenings and things all over the place. It's like I've done my time sitting at home. So next thing you know, I'll be buying a sports car and
a Tesla.
A Tesla. No?
Okay.
Running off to Europe or something ridiculous like that. What are we talking about today? We are talking about social media, or all things kind of news in social media. Some things have kind of been popping up. And it's not typical social media stuff. The first thing that we haven't yet addressed that I feel like we should is CBC News and many, many other news sources have been reporting that Twitter has jumped over to the 280 character tweets. I said that wrong, tweets. Going over their 140 or 144 character count. How do you feel about this?
Conflicted.
How come?
Confusion.
Mm-hmm.
My whole world is caving in on me.
Yeah.
Suddenly I'm getting twice as many tweets.
Twice. I think it's that. No, not quite. Just twice as long.
Yeah, I guess, and I was reading up on some of the logic behind this too. They were saying that in different languages, it takes less characters to express more thoughts. So they were referring to Chinese and Japanese and this kind of stuff. And they were saying like a single character in Chinese or Japanese or Korean can express a larger idea than, 20 characters in English or I'm assuming other like
French
European languages. Yeah. Which I guess the thought makes sense. Like the thought makes sense for, all right, so let's open it up, because they did say they weren't going to test this in the Asian countries. They were only going to do it in these other countries. But at the same time, I'm like, I could write in Chinese. Could I not write in Chinese? Like,
sure. I think it's where their market is, right?
That's true too.
Where
is their market though?
Well, I mean, they launched in the U.S. in 2006, so certainly, is there that whole San Francisco bubble?
Yeah.
And that would have been their influence. I don't know if you ever read the book Hatching Twitter, which was kind of an inside story about Jack Dorsey and, oh my goodness, I can't remember who the other founder was. Ev. And how that all kind of came to be. And it's been years since I read it, but certainly it was, like how hashtags crept up was just totally by fluke. It was something the user community had kind of figured out as a way of sorting data.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so, I mean, originally I remember when it went from 140 to 144, and they had kind of rationalized it that it came around to people's handles, their names were taking up too many characters because they allowed 7 or 8, whatever the maximum is, and they needed some expansion on that because they were running out of permutations for users, right? Because they'd crossed some significant milestones in terms of user. It is
hard to get your Twitter handle nowadays.
It is really hard to get your Twitter handle. So when they went to 144, it was to kind of help accommodate for that a little bit. So now going all the way up to 280, I mean, it's interesting because I thought originally 140 characters, and I was totally an early adopter on Twitter. I was there 2007, and I remember kind of those early days of the fail whale and the system crashing and all that kind of stuff. 140 characters, it felt like microblogging, right? Like people were like, oh, it's kind of like Facebook, only shorter, or only without the pictures, because you couldn't do pictures or video or all that,
and I thought the idea too was that it fit in a text message.
Right.
Like
SMS.
It was less than a text message, and I think their idea was maybe people could text their tweets and it would get posted for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And, fast forward now to a time where your texts, your SMS texts aren't limited by character count any longer as well. But it was always considered a micro-blogging site. Now, 280 characters is still pretty small. It's not we're not talking about like a 500-word, 250-word blog.
Yeah.
But I haven't yet seen anything that's intriguing at 100, like versus 140 versus 280.
Yeah, and I guess I'm hoping, too, that this isn't their like, all right, we need to turn this company around and make money. Let's double the character count. Like, I hope this isn't the Hail Mary pass for Twitter. I do like Twitter. I think there's a place for it, and I think that it's just struggled to monetize. So I really hope this isn't the here we go, this will fix it all.
Yeah, I hope you're right, that's not the case. I think that 280, I think people recognize that Twitter serves a really good purpose for getting news and information and talking about issues and having good debate.
There was an audible boom a couple of years ago when I was living here in town. An audible boom.
Like a sonic boom.
And that's what I'm pretty sure was a meteorite that ended up causing the noise. But I was like, I wonder what that was. Pulled out Twitter. Everyone's talking about a big boom. Yeah. Keep looking until you find someone who's got a credible source backing it up. That's what you do. You pull it out. You see something, Twitter's like the real-time platform.
The real-time platform. And I mean, in this time, I think still looking at the U.S. and where we are with all this political discourse and uncertainty, and people are making statements, some more intelligent than others, regardless of what side you're on, right? I think 280 characters does allow for more of that. I saw recently there's an app, and I can't recall the name of it, that allowed people to string tweets together. Right. Because you would see like 1.2, slash 2, 3. So people were counting, and then somebody would jump on to like the third tweet in a string and not get the full context. Yeah. And it would almost be like gaslighting, right? And having 280 may help.
No, and I agree.
Eliminate some of that.
And you saw people putting like the words in the picture and then posting the picture and things like that. So people have been getting around the limit for a long time. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So maybe this will find a happy medium. Yeah. 280.
280. We'll see where it goes. I hope it doesn't get too big.
560. No.
Yeah, right. Like if it gets too big, then it's not easy for me to scroll on my phone.
What if it focused on pictures, and it didn't let you put links? Oh no, wait. That's right. Instagram.
Yeah. Sorry, that's already there. Yeah. Speaking of Instagram, we can talk about Instagram right now. So Instagram came out with some interesting news, and TechCrunch is reporting that they've opened its shoppable posts feature to retailers on BigCommerce's platform.
And Shopify. I'm just going to jump in there. And Shopify.
Shopify. So talk about it a little bit, Brendan.
Well, so basically, as I was just saying, Instagram is mostly image-based, but there's no way to like put a link right in the post. So unlike Facebook, where as a small business you might try to market a product, so you put a picture of the product, a description, and then you put a little link to that product on your website so someone can buy it. There's no like good way to do that right now. What a lot of businesses do is they'll stick a link in their bio and say links in the bio, but then it's kind of up to you to either change the link every time something new gets posted, or you have to make it really easy to find on your website so that people don't get lost. So what the shoppable posts are is basically a way to tag your posts with products from your store and allow people to click through to your store to buy that product. So really big deal for anyone on BigCommerce or Shopify, because this opens up Instagram kind of exclusively to this ability to do the shopping. And so it's being tested right now. Like it's not like it's rolled out to everyone right now, but this will be really interesting. And I think what's really good about this is, it's a funny way to say it, is protecting the users from the marketers.
Right. Right.
So it's giving a really controlled way for shops to market their stuff in a way that users are going to like.
Sure. I mean, I think the next step for Instagram is, do they charge for access to this additional service, right? They're not talking about that in any of the pieces I've seen around it. So I don't know if that's the case, but I mean, that would be the next level of protection, because I think of it from a user experience. If now they're just popping up all kinds of Instagram posts that are buy, then it's not going to be too fun. And as we've said before, marketers ruin everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's good to be able to do this. The other thing we need to point out here is this is just in the U.S. at this point in time. So we're based in Canada.
Yeah.
We always get the short end of the stick. Our American listeners, you guys get it good. Early launch on all kinds of things. We've been waiting 3, maybe 4 years now since Pinterest added buy buttons in the US, and they're not available in Canada still. So how big and wide will Instagram roll this out? Why Pinterest never rolled it out in Canada, and what those delays are?
I'm hoping the Shopify connection will help.
Sure, that's a good point.
Because they're a Canadian company, so they'll say, "Hey, let us do this in Canada." You know? So I'm hoping that'll work. But I'm really curious if the influencers will be allowed to use this.
Right, and that's a good question. And, yeah,
because like I'm wearing a really cool sweater. Can I tag this sweater with another business's tag? I think it wouldn't be so bad because it'd be really clear at that point that they're working with that company.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to tag that company unless you were working with that company.
Yeah, I mean, and influencer marketing, and that's a really great segue into the next piece that we have out of Forbes.
Look at me go.
Look at you go. You're just setting up all the great stories. So Forbes has a great story just about what a graduate student's deep dive can teach you about influencer marketing. So we get a lot of questions from our clients, from businesses saying, what about this whole influencer marketing piece, and should I be doing it, and how do I do it, and what is an influencer? And this piece is just that. A student has kind of dove into some of those questions and talks about, the difference. So when you going down in the article here, it talks about, what's the difference between an influencer versus what was the terminology that they used? Oh, shoot, where did it go? Like the Kim Kardashians of it all. Oh, celebrity endorsements. Right. So celebrity endorsement, it is a part of influencer marketing, but it's not quite the same. So it identifies 3 types of influencers, and this is a really great way to kind of classify influencers. So there's top influencers, which are your short tail influencers, so your celebrities, big names, so an actor, an athlete, so YouTube stars, the Kim Kardashians of the world, who are just getting paid to put that kind of stuff out, whether it speaks to their audience or not.
Yeah, right.
There's a mid tail influencer who has between 70 and 500,000 followers. And then long tail, which are these micro influencers. Now, we talk about in our agency a lot about these micro influencers, who are people that maybe have 5 to 30,000 followers, but those followers are super loyal. They're maybe super finite in a particular area, in a city, or around a particular subject matter, and the effectiveness of those. And I mean, it doesn't go deep into this, but our experience is that those micro influencers tend to be the most influential of the influencers, where if Kim Kardashian is tweeting out something, or not tweeting but posting something about whatever protein shake or whatever she's paid to do, that sure, she has like huge reach in terms of numbers, but how many of those people are really interested in that reach or that product?
The banner ad of influencers.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Whereas the micro influencer, who maybe only has 5, 6, 7,000 followers, but they're totally like respected by their community because they're into bodybuilding or into fitness, and they put something out through to their followers about that exact same protein shake, are going to get much more uptake and conversion and brand awareness because they're tuned in. And the engagement. I
feel like it's when we recommend marketing things, right? Are we micro influencers?
We very well are micro influencers in our space.
I really like how they've labeled that out. Actually, it's a throwback to keywords: long tail, mid tail, short tail.
Yeah,
like the long tail keyword.
Long tail.
Those are the ones you want to go after because they are the most cost benefit. There's a bigger ROI on them. So I like how they labeled them. I
mean, one of the challenges is that nobody ever really talks about influencers is how do you
find,
vet,
pay.
Yeah. If you've never had any dealings with influencers before, and those influencers maybe have never even done their first contract, that they're just talking about bodybuilding because they enjoy it and they didn't think that they were going to monetize it in that way in any way. They don't know how much to charge. They don't know how to really handle it. So it does require a little bit of nurture when you're talking about those micro influencers. And you may find ones that aren't actual influencers, that they're just padded numbers, like paid followers. And
if I can give any advice here is treat those new guys well, right? They'll remember.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't try to take advantage. Treat them well, and when they get
help
even
them
bigger,
succeed.
yeah, they'll come back and they'll pay you back 10 times. So,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Our last article, I love this. Do we have an audio on this? I love this. Let me read the headline. Mobile marketer is reporting that Reese's, so Reese's peanut butter cups and Reese's Pieces, have debuted a playable Pac-Man ad on Snapchat Discover. You got to play this. I love this already. So there you go. So we're going to share that in our show notes at themarketingpodcast.com. But what do we have here? So Reese's Peanut Butter Cups is, of course, the chocolate candy marketed by Hershey's. And they have been running a playable ad on Snapchat that features a rebranded version of Pac-Man, which is, I feel like, do we even need to tell people what Pac-Man is from the 80s? An amazing video game, iconic. And it's an in-app game on Snapchat Discover. So it has, really great content and is engaging.
I think this is a great use of the Snapchat filter.
How come?
I see more and more filters being used, and it's not just Snapchat. Everyone's trying to do their own version of filters. The iPhone came out with the playable emoji. They've got the thing that wraps around your face. Like, everyone's coming out with some other AR sticker, filter, something to try to make the posts novel. And so I think when they can be interactive and still be used, that's like the best case scenario. And like you said, you've just mashed up how many different things, Reese's, Pac-Man, Snapchat.
Yeah, all things that are great.
Yeah. So what's really important here is Snapchat lets you build your own filters. Like, I don't know if people know this.
Yeah.
Now, a playable game, you've got to be doing a large sponsorship with Snapchat, but you can pay to have your filter live for a day or longer in a specific area, and it starts to get really expensive. Like, it needs to be like an incredibly specific area. If you want to do the whole town, it's going to be expensive. But if you have an event on, let's say you've got a music festival, or you've got even an indoor event, like if you've got an event, you're able to like geo-reference that specific spot and have your Snapchat filter available for a day or two over your event.
Right.
And I think it's a really cool way to play up the Snapchat and have those and to market on Snapchat.
Right. So, I mean, a fun way to do it, if you are kind of speaking to the Snapchat audience and you've invested in that, I think about what's coming up between, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, doing a filter specifically for users, who are in your store, that has like a fun little Black Friday thing.
And if they buy something, they can use the filter from the store and take a picture of them buying it. And it sounds weird because you're like, people aren't going to do that. But that's what's happening.
Yeah, clubs, restaurants.
Yeah, make them aware that the filter's there. They can go use it. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a really fun game. And just in the event that you're not actually playing in Snapchat and you're not playing with that kind of platform, and again, we'll throw the link in our show notes, but within the article, there's a link that you can play a web browser version of this game too. So don't be disappointed if any of you want to do the whole Snapchat Reese's Pac-Man thing. And what it does is just, for those of you who aren't seeing this right now, it's a Reese's peanut butter cup with the notable Pac-Man notch cut out of it as the mouth, and instead of biting the little dots, you're biting Reese's peanut butter or Reese's Pieces, and it's just brilliantly done and creative. And it should be noted that they did this campaign. We're just coming off the heels of Halloween. They did it right before that kind of Halloween candy buying rage. Now, there's a whole other thought around how they're dealing with peanut butter and food sensitivities and allergies and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure their sales are taking a dive because it's not really safe for people to give out or what have you. So it's a fun way to kind of bolster that audience.
All right, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
So for the small business who's not doing social media, where should they start?
That's not doing social media?
So they're a small business. Maybe they made an account, but they haven't looked at it. Maybe they've got, I don't know, their Twitter handle locked down since 2006.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't tweeted. What should they start doing?
Well, I mean, looking at who their audience is, right? And so I always say, if you're going to invest in social media at all, do one and do it really well. So if you're choosing that one, who is that one? It could be one that you're comfortable with as the business owner and staff. Facebook, we all kind of have a bit of knowledge around Facebook, or if your products and service and audience are more focused around Instagram because it tells photo stories, or Snapchat. So choose that one. That one go-to one typically always ends up being Facebook because of the targeting that you can do down the road with advertising, right? So dig in and start playing with it so that you know where you're going to be able to get some results from, right? So unless you actually try and start putting your products and services and promoting your business in any way, you don't know, because it's going to be unique to your individual business. But just really hone your skills on that one particular platform.
So don't try to get your name on every platform.
No, I mean, it doesn't hurt to lock those down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and there's certainly a lot of brands that as soon as a new platform's announced, they go and lock down their brand so that they have that, because you never know where it's going to be. But really only focus on the one that's manageable. We often will come into clients who have a little bit of everything, and they do them all poorly because they're just spread too thin, and they're doing stuff in Snapchat, but really they have no audience or desire to, the audience there just wouldn't have anything to do with Snapchat. So why are you investing time and resources into that? So understanding who your customers are and where they're hanging out is a really good place to start. Mm-hmm. And that could be just talking to your customers, and that's the best data that you can get. Ask them
what social media they use.
Yeah, where they hang out online, and start targeting your social media efforts there. And don't rule out some of the lesser known social media platforms that might be just geared specifically for your industry and for your customer base. So one that often comes to mind that people overlook is Houzz, HOUZZ.com, or ZZ, I guess. HOUZZ.com. If you're in the, furniture, interior, exterior, building design, it's a great place to showcase your products, showcase your services if you're service-based, get reviews, engage with people, and anybody who's undertaking any kind of renovation project or they're looking for inspiration, they can go and get very specific information about that project that you did, and look for contractors in their area or products that are of a particular theme. So don't leave stones unturned when you're trying to choose that platform to be in. If it fits for your industry and what you're trying to promote, then that's where you really should be.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would add to that from a tech point of view is don't link to your social media from your website if you're not really using that social media platform. I don't know how many times I'm disappointed when I click on YouTube, say, and they haven't posted a video in a year.
Yeah.
It's like, did this really help me, or did I just waste time?
Yeah.
So
I'm not so upset about YouTube because there still may be information there that's useful.
No,
but
that's
if
true.
I go to their Twitter or Facebook or something and I haven't seen anything for a year, I'm like, are they even still in business?
Exactly.
This is really the first thing that I wonder.
So focus on that one social media platform, but I mean, make it, promote it, and don't have the string of social icons just because you want to have the string of social icons. And then this might be more of a personal thing, but I think too, when you get started on social media, is avoid the automation.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with getting into automation, but off the hop, avoid the automation.
Yeah. I mean, you're really it's relationship driven,
Yeah.
and you're there to build those relationships, and people can see through it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Pretty social little episode.
Social episode.
All about the social today. So thanks for joining us on the Marketing Podcast. I'm Heather.
And I'm Brendan Quigley.
And we'll talk to you soon.